is an exit at the front of the building and another exit at the rear of the building. I'd like you to join with me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to open with a public comment period. I would caution people who are here to talk about Old Church Lane that the public hearing ended 2 weeks ago. I will let you speak about it again, but please, for less than 1 minute each.
What I suggest, though, we have a discussion regarding paving of Old Church Lane that comes later with some more inputs. Is Peter coming?
Yes.
He is.
Okay.
And when will you come? Do we know? Okay.
Probably half
So I'm
past
wondering
8.
if everybody wants to hold their comments until we've heard that part, and then we kind of reopen.
That's fine. I spoke to Peter today. I know he knows the items later on in the agenda, so I don't know if he'll be here early on in the meeting or later on.
Okay.
Maybe we can text him or something.
He will be here towards the end of the meeting.
We don't have huge amounts of stuff here, though, right? So.
All right, I will go forward. Does anybody wish to speak about another subject? Yes, madam, could you give us your name and come forward so that we get your photograph?
How's that? It's Christine Shell. Hi, everyone.
Okay.
I thought I'd appear and pop by my concerns with Parcel H, as the town is the conservator of it. It's encroachment on the Mohawk side of Indian Hill, the subdivision and the cluster zoning. It was verified in November 2019 and then again on January 12th for the survey of Parcel H, adjacent to the location of my area on Footlong Bridge. And the town documents indicated as the same thing that it's supposed to stay in its natural state. That it's been nipped away and there's some lawn and missing trees. And cleaning of that area was ordained when it was made a subdivision and a cluster zoning, that it was supposed to stay in its natural state. So that's it.
So just to verify, Christine, the concern is that it's not being kept in its natural state and people are encroaching on it.
Yes.
And you'd like the town to...
Just wanted to make a statement, thank you.
Okay.
And somebody did a survey on that?
Yeah.
Yes, that's the point. There is. Christiane has paid for a survey.
Yeah. Oh, so you did that.
Which says exactly where the property is.
It becomes a matter of enforcement then.
Yes.
So,
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So let's
It's not
discuss
just my
that.
property as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Who else wished? Could you give me a call and nudge me? I'm not quite sure who the enforcement officer is on this, whether it's our building inspector or the police. That's a simple choice, isn't it?
Yeah, he's been out there. Joe's been out there. Whether or not he's the one that's going to enforce it along
Well, you can,
the extent of
take them to court.
Parcel H, yeah.
And that's what you're asking, right?
Well, we also talked about sending a notice to the folks that live on the opposite side of Parcel H, the development,
Yeah.
so that they can advise the homeowners not
Give them a
to...
little more.
Have you already given them a warning? I assume you have.
Personally, no.
Yeah.
What?
No, the stakes are there, there's grass and whatnot. No, I'm not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, what I meant by a warning, have you had a neighborly conversation, as I have had several times with my neighbors, like, do me a favor and?
Let me free you. Now this land, there's an easement. Is there an easement to the town as open space? That's what
You can
it,
walk down to Fox Valley.
Right.
so the town has an interest in
Right.
maintaining it in the state that it ought to be kept in. And so I think we'll figure out how that's gotta happen.
All right. So, in other words, your conversation should be with me in order to get the town to comply.
Right, just thought it was safe.
Yeah.
Good, thank you.
We've had some dialogue.
Yes, I
and
know.
We'll discuss it some more, but yeah,
Thank you.
more needs to be done.
Somebody else wished to speak, didn't they? No. In that case, I'll close the public hearing, or the public comment period. I'll go on to communications. I've got a letter here from Christine Carrier. It is with much regret that I must submit this notification of resignation from the ACOG board as an active member effective immediately. This decision is solely based on personal health reasons that required my undivided attention. It's been my honor and personal pleasure to serve with all on the board, and I will miss you all. Thank you for having the confidence in my abilities to help guide the growth of our wonderful town. I wish you all my best. I wish Christine all our best too, because this is sad. I'd like to thank Adam Oakes for this, which arrived today, right? Didn't you send me this?
Annual report, yes. I report, yes.
You're looking at me
Yes.
as if I've lost it.
Well, I'm getting an update from something else.
Oh, okay. I haven't really had time to go through it in detail. I know it recommends several courses of action. I think we should discuss those and possibly put them on an agenda later on.
Excuse me, what is this?
Oh, sorry. This,
Back there.
this is the Emergency Management Committee 2019 Annual Report.
Thank you.
But it arrived today, so really, I don't think anybody has had a chance to go through a document
Arrived where?
they think.
I'm sorry, right where?
What? Arrived on my desk.
Okay.
Email, yeah.
I'd like to propose that we approve the consent agenda, which consists of the minutes of the town board meeting held on February the 11th. Do I have a second?
I second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
I would like to move on to, I would like to endorse the, here we are. I'd like to propose a resolution approving town participation in the National Alliance on Mental Illness, NAMI, for their annual ribbon campaign in May. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion.
Yeah, I wanted to just put a note into everyone that we should probably do something, a statement from your Facebook page and maybe something on our website as well. I just want to
Okay.
plug that for May because I don't trust my own brain to remember that.
Okay, because we go around putting yellow ribbons.
Right, and so when
Right.
that starts to happen, you know, if I don't remember, maybe we could all give a try to remember to make some kind of
Calendar or
statement from the town.
Yes.
Okay. Do you want to take the next one, Jane?
Sure, so, I make a motion to approve a resolution approving the Lewisboro Town Park Project Improvement Corporation, the use of the Lewisboro Town Park Playground area on May 9th, 2020 for its Spring Fest fundraising kickoff and waiving all fees.
Second. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
I'd
Thank
like,
you, on behalf of them.
I'd like
This
to,
is separate from the...
Bike loop.
Well, from the fellow who came in the other day.
Mike?
Wolf Conservation Center.
Yeah.
event,
It is
right? It's the
separate.
same, okay, separate event, same day.
It's not, there's a 16th, 17th.
Oh, they moved theirs now.
They moved it, yes, it was on
Okay.
the agenda for May 9th last meeting, but before that, Dana had dropped the ball on
They just needed to change.
putting,
That's fine.
yeah, which happens,
That's
yeah.
All right.
I'd like to propose a resolution approving the increased Miller Elementary School PTO hosting a fundraiser at the town park on June 5th and waiving all fees.
Second.
Discussion, all in favour?
Aye.
I'd like to propose a resolution approving I want to apply for a grant from the Greenway Planning Program. It would be a grant which would go towards the initial stage of the comprehensive plan. And I'll go, maybe I've done this in the wrong order, but what I'm going to propose later on is that we employ Tiffany Zazula from Pace Land Use Law School to do the initial outreach. This is probably an afternoon thing where we invite everybody in the town, anybody in the town who wants to come, to give us their thoughts.
Where are we thinking we're going to host this?
I don't know, I was thinking on the lawn, no.
Probably
Depends on the
one of
weather.
schools.
Yeah, it depends on the weather, but
That's a good idea.
I think what I will
Or
do is to book the
LES.
library.
Well, Jen had also just said the school, one of the schools.
Well, yeah, if
Yeah.
we're
Might be
looking for
really a
big
nice
turnout,
idea
I
as
would say
well.
one of the schools or even LES.
Okay,
I
Yeah,
mean,
the
we already
auditorium.
have use of LES, so if they'll, you know.
Gym, yeah.
and just that hope nobody gets arrested and arraigned in the middle.
Is what it is.
Why
I
would
mean, we
they?
can't prevent that.
Oftentimes, what they would recommend also is doing different locations at different times.
Right.
Right.
Let's do an evening, 2 hours.
All right.
Yes.
Saturday morning, let's do
Yeah.
this location, that location, just to make sure you get as much.
But this is the very first step, which is purely listening on our behalf.
Right.
Possibly with a short introduction where we say that we're planning to do a new comprehensive plan, that the reasons for it are the change in demographics and the need to stress the environment to a greater degree than in the past. And that's about the end of what we say. The rest of it is up to them. The idea being that once we've done that, either to do it again if we feel a need to do it again, or alternatively to move to appointing a small committee to proceed to get a request for people to who wish to do the basic area by area work on doing this. So when it comes to Golden's Bridge here and Vista there and the middle of town in the middle, we're pending that kind of discussion until after we've appointed a planner to conduct the whole process.
So this is not meant as, this is not the
Yeah.
end of outreach, it's just a kickoff. of
Yes.
Right,
this.
of
Oh,
an
this
initial
is-
conversation.
This
Right,
is a
so all
very
the-
initial conversation.
It's going to be very extensive soliciting of input from every neighborhood going forward after this, but you're saying that's after we've
Yes.
formulated a plan.
And what I initially,
Okay.
Tiffany knows a fair amount about outreach. And so I would like her to just do this first stage.
Okay.
And
We'll have to see what comes of it.
the
Right.
only thing,
It will
now-
depend if like we can form a committee after that meeting or whether we have to have more communal input to see, we want to see variation in the people who are on the committee, right?
Right.
Variation in terms of where they live in town, but
I just
also
want
we're
to
going
see
to
a
look for
lot of
some
people who agree
variation
with
of
me.
people who have different interests in the
Yes.
town. And, we'll take some, obviously some of our key players that have been working on projects forever. And then I hope that we can engage,
I
Some
think
Yes, some of the
younger
businesses, some
and
people
of
who
the
are maybe
businesses
newer to
and
town that can
lake
be part of the
communities.
conversation.
Yeah, you've
Right.
now met all these new residents through these events. You know,
That's
maybe have
right.
Some of them.
Actually, the new neighbor network was great this weekend.
So this is a first step that.
this is very much a
Very
first step.
preliminary first step to gather
And later
input.
on in the meeting, well, now if you like, I'm going to ask for your agreement to employ Tiffany for a sum of 4,000 to do this
Definitely.
and to move forward and also to write the RFP.
Okay.
Great.
So back to the grant proposal, what's the timing on the awards? This is the Greenway folks?
Yeah,
So
May.
May, okay.
Really? So it's an application now for May? Great.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's,
And what's the typical award for those?
No, 5,000-10,000.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's not a game changer?
No, it
but it's
isn't.
just- It's helpful.
Every penny counts.
Yes.
Good to
All
know
right.
that.
So do we want to go ahead and
Oh, yeah, can somebody propose a resolution in favor of that? Of a resolution approving and endorsing the application for a grant under the Hudson River Valley Greenway Planning Grant Program.
I move that we approve the supervisor to prepare and submit an application for a grant under the Hudson River Valley Greenway Planning Grant Program.
Second, discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
I would also like a post facto resolution
The best kind.
approving the town's participation in the Westchester County Hazard Mitigation Plan Project Update.
Right.
Quite
You
honestly,
informed us of that,
this
yeah.
requires no action on our part at all, except to sign a piece of paper saying I want to participate. It seemed a bit dumb not to grab
Which
it.
means they include us in the planning and all
Yes.
the
Right.
resource availability and things like that. It's nothing that we have to.
Really
put out
worry
for it.
too much
Right.
about, I think.
Okay. So, just.
We've already done old business A, right?
So wait, we
Oh,
didn't have that resolution, so.
Oh. Sorry,
I move that we approve the town's participation in the Westchester County Hazard Mitigation Plan Update Project.
second.
discussion. All in, what?
So I didn't see in the proposal that it actually said Tiffany was going to write the RFP as part of that funding. I mean, so.
I had thought she was, I must admit. Based on verbal conversation, not,
based on this proposal? The 4K?
yes, yeah.
So.
You think I'm wrong?
Yeah, here it is right here.
When I read, oh, it is in there?
It does not specify
Well, I'll-
It does
say that.
specifically say that, and, you know, I'm a little.
That's a big difference, yeah.
Yeah, no, it
that's
is a big difference.
That's a very important thing if someone could, if that's included. right?
Okay, I will try to get her to amend it.
Yes, right in the RFP, because that, I think that is a really,
Whoever is in the door is welcome to come in. Ah, Peter,
Man of the hour.
your timing is remarkably apt.
We're all waiting for you. So this doesn't specify that, her proposal. I don't think I
Yeah.
saw that, I read it.
It says deliverable, one night of public engagement, education, and memorialization of all comments in a report.
All right.
Yes.
Oh,
So
but
that's
nothing
fine.
about the
That's
RSA.
Okay.
It does
Okay.
not include preparation
So
of the
that's-
RFP for the planner.
I'm not sure that, I'm concerned that we won't, I'm anxious like everybody else to get going on the
Yeah.
comprehensive plan, but I think without a RFP and a move to the planner, I'm worried that the information that would come out of this would be dated by the time we got everything else going. So I think if you could put getting her to do the RFP or managing that process in
I will use you as my club.
Me? Sure. Okay, I'll be the enforcer on this. No, I just think that's an important part, and I would be
Okay.
concerned about having this done. I'm a little afraid we'll get a a listing of comments that everybody made, and we won't be ready to go further.
I'm imagining though that the RFP, there has to be a little give and take with the board in the sense that the RFP is going to identify the scope of work of the planners, and there's probably, a few different approaches you could take that we would sort of have to give some
I think
feedback on.
that's true, yeah.
So, I mean, that just certainly doesn't speak to that. So should we do an amendment to that resolution saying, contingent
Yes.
on it, including that, and if not, to regroup, or?
Yeah, you can amend the resolution to approve it contingent upon it including.
Preparation of-
For working with board drafting RFP,
Yeah.
and if it does not, and it changes the figure or what have you, then you can revisit it at the next board meeting.
Okay.
All right, so as amended. Discussion?
Did we get a second?
Vote on that to?
Yeah.
vote on
Yes.
that
Yeah, we
amendment?
should
So,
vote on it too.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'd like the board's approval for a letter that I would sign, so
This is a letter to, want me to read it?
yes.
To Robert Flores, Project Manager at Delaware Engineering, DPC.
Yes.
Letter of authorization. Dear Mr. Flores, the town of Lewisboro hereby authorizes and allows Delaware Engineering to file plans and permits on its behalf with the Westchester County Department of Health. Yours, Peter Parsons.
Second,
I second.
discussion? No, you're proposing.
I'm proposing, so I can't second, all right?
I'll second. Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Was that on the agenda?
No,
No,
I'm sorry.
Just an add-on.
It arrived today, and I thought I'd take care of it because I'm kind of anxious to move forward on Oak Ridge.
so this is for Oak
That's
Ridge.
for
Yes,
Oak Ridge.
sorry.
Yeah.
Just part of
Yeah.
the project execution.
But this is for water in Oak Ridge.
Right.
Yeah.
I
Can't do
assume.
without it.
Does Delaware Engineering do anything else in town?
I don't think so.
Just
Right,
Oak Ridge.
okay.
Oh,
That's
sorry.
right.
They advise us on water.
All water.
All
All
water.
water.
Right.
Yes, drinking water.
Well, yes, I just,
Who's-
throughout the, yes,
Drinking water, yeah.
that part I got.
Next one, I would like,
Can we skip the Pace land use thing since Peter's here and everybody's waiting?
well, yeah,
I think we
there's just,
should
well-
move back to.
Well, the Pace land use is what we just discussed.
yes,
Yeah.
we just did it.
Oh,
That was
Yeah,
Tiffany.
that's right.
So we should move
Yeah.
back to Old Church Lane.
I think maybe we want to come back and have a little bit more discussion about that, but.
Did we already, the hazard mitigation plan, I think
Yeah, we did that.
we did that. All
Time
right,
to
Peter.
move on.
At the last time we discussed Old Church Lane, we agreed that we would try and look for something that was not just paving the entirety of that road. So Peter Rippinger, myself, Tony, and Joe Semelli went out there this afternoon and took a look to try to see if there was any sort of middle way. Like most middle ways, it has problems. It's a bit here, a bit there. So it's unlikely to satisfy anybody. But what it is taking the 3/4 of a mile nearest the Pound Ridge border and paving that stretch, because that gets the spring. It also captures the steepest part or the most difficult parts of that road on maintenance. Is that a reasonable description? What?
That's correct.
So that's where we are.
Peter introduce himself?
What?
Yeah, Peter Rippinger is our highway superintendent, sorry.
Thank you.
When we were out there today, this afternoon for a lengthy period of time, came up with 3 choices. Don't do it, don't let everybody else. do the whole thing, or do it from roughly the Melanie Lane up on the dirt side and come down the hill down past 42, 45.
Yeah.
According to the town engineer, that would be, if at all, that would be the area he would be most likely to attempt.
Interesting.
So,
And it's,
so,
oh,
go
go
ahead.
Oh, Tony, you can, you're,
Yeah, so that was one of the options, and
Can you clarify the limits that was an option? Because you're not really making it clear, so.
Oh,
yeah, I
I'm
was
sorry.
gonna say, we have to start from scratch.
okay, you were there,
I know,
so I know.
I know, so I just wanna, from Pound Ridge to the creek where the washout is?
Right, down
Which
around
is
that
actually
area,
a
just
lot
by,
of-
around by your house, coming up that hill, right in that area.
Up the
there.
hill more?
Up the hill a little bit more.
and it would end at the house that's got the drainage issue, number
Oh, you-
46.
That's
your
his
house,
house.
yeah.
Yep.
You fixing my house up?
Well, you got more.
Well,
problems.
even paving's not gonna fix your issue.
With the drainage,
It's not
whatever
gonna
you
fix
guys
it.
do drainage.
There's gotta be, but
Your road, your driving range is like 2 feet below the road.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, in order to bring the road up 2 feet, we'd be going all the way down the hill and up, but not to
Right.
make light of it. If it was blacktop, certainly we could make sort of a swale or a berm in front of it.
Yeah.
But you have greater issues, and the greater issue would be putting drainage across your driveway to catch whatever comes down your driveway and tag it off down into the woods to your back piece of your property. Because your house is lower than everything. It's all the way down the road. You're not gonna catch all the roads, all the water.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of figured as much, but the problem is no matter how much I build up with the way the road is, it's gonna come down my driveway no matter what. And if it stays dirt, as a dirt road, that's gonna clog up any kind of trench.
Well,
drain
that's-
and-
You know, the only other thing is putting a berm and across in front of that, trying to get it down, but again, it's just gonna go to your neighbor's driveway, that's what happened. You know, we toyed with the idea, the town engineer, of putting up, how can I say it, a culvert coming down the hill where you were, you saw this one. And as the town engineer said, if I put that, even if we can get it down, and leaving it all dirt and just doing that, then the frost and everything else and the water's gonna make it and pop it. We're sort of caught, and the idea is, yes or no?
Right.
You know, not touching it or what? Because if you don't, and let me put it this way, for the 16 years and all those people that have lived here many years, I understand, I do not want to take your aesthetic view. I understand that, believe it or not, I really do. The board confronted me and asked me to come up with an idea, and I volunteered this. I went to the school buses, I went to transportation, I went to the firehouse, I went around and came up with this the best that we could. Now, you have said the last year or two it hasn't been that bad,
It's been good.
right, Lou? That's what you said.
True.
And you know what it is when it bellies.
About 10 years ago, 8 years ago.
and part of it is probably because we've had mild winters,
Well,
right?
we've
This
had
winter and the
mild winters,
prior.
we put a lot of stone in there
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, there's a lot of
And
product.
heavy freeze thaw, the road ruts.
Yeah.
There's
Right.
a natural spring rolling, coming out of the incline today, everything.
Yes.
Going
So-
up the hill on an incline where it's the worst of the worst.
Right,
But the water is always flowing there. And that can be fixed with a perforated pipe, 24-inch
Right.
going across.
But you're also,
Yeah.
But I just want to say, since we're on it, there are isolated problems. Most of the people on this road don't want to pave. The people who want to pave have problems with their driveways. There's two of them. And I understand the Bates, they're at the creek, and there is a major washout there. I live it. I
Right.
shovel out the basin, I'm there. But I do it because I want their road.
right.
Peter,
But
Yeah,
there's a few neighbors who have isolated problems. I always felt if a couple neighbors with the isolated problems were addressed properly,
Right.
we wouldn't be here today.
can I ask
Right.
Peter, just in sort of Googling, there are ways that, other methods that people use to sort of stabilize dirt roads. There's like special grids and things like that are used. Is any of that discussed?
look at that road in itself. The longitude, the height and width of it in certain areas, as you saw today, are below, it's high, it's up. You'd have to build that up.
Right.
Now, coming in from Kitchewan Road, where there's not many houses, okay, it's a rough section. That's where she gets a lot of mush, and you can probably put drain off the side. I think what you're doing, it's a very narrow road. If in fact you can stabilize it the best you can, if people want it stabilized like that, then that's what you got. I think if
Yeah.
you start doing everybody's individuals, then you're gonna cut and make more of a problem in that road.
I was just
disturbing the
wondering if
base.
there are some
There's
areas.
only 2 individuals. though.
These are-
I-
There are
that's
three.
what I say. I mean,
Wait a
Excuse me,
second.
Point of information, the gentleman speaking, could you introduce yourself and what you do for a living, please?
My name's Lou Visconti. I'm a civil construction supervisor, and I run state DOT work. I just finished the project in front of Northern Westchester Hospital. You all remember it going on.
Yep.
Yes.
I ran that job. I
It's hard to
surveyed
miss.
it, and I ran every aspect of it.
Right.
So,
That's typical of, it's in our area, so.
And you live on Church Lane, you're across the street
Yeah,
from the base, so that's where you live. Yeah,
I've worked
yeah.
on major infrastructure jobs for Tully,
Okay.
$30, $40 million jobs. I run
Mhm.
soup to nuts.
so maybe I could ask you, Mr. Visconti, do you have any experience with it? And a lot of times it may be used for temporary construction roads. These are like, structural grids that are laid down and filled with gravel and things like that. As an alternative
There are products for that. There's geogrids. There are different products for that. I mean, I want to just say this. The Bates problem where I am is a problem. You were there today, Mr. Parsons. I saw you when I was leaving. It is a problem. The problem with that is because the fines that are mixed in, what do you use, an item 4 or DGA?
Yeah.
Item 4? Okay.
No.
So that
Then we'll put it.
so the product, what happens is every time we have a storm and a heavy rain, the product washes into the creek. The creek is where I live. I mean, it
Yeah.
washes in, I dig it out with a shovel. Okay, I like having the creek at my house, it's pretty. But if the product does, so that is a problem. So I just felt over the years like it was never addressed properly. I don't know that our highway department is capable of fixing it properly, and I don't mean that in the bad, maybe they need design, but I just felt it was never really properly fixed. There are ways to do it. If you drive on Route 35, look at the DEP property, they have a concrete swale. It's a hard product. There's different types of swales. Joe said to me, who I know well, and he's right, he said to me, if I make a gabion swale or riprap, he said the fines are still going to wash down there. So I mentioned, why can't you use a hard product like an asphalt swale right in front of the Bates' driveway, or a concrete product right in front of the Bates' driveway? And he mentioned to me, then I'll still have the fines running over the hard product, which I understand. So maybe paving it to that part, and I don't want to see it paved, is a solution for more, Bates is a problem, but more importantly, the fines are running down in that creek.
Right.
But for Lou's problem, his driveway is low. His house is low. The water's always going to go down his driveway. But right now, the problem is if the road's paved, dirt doesn't go down his driveway, it's still going to be water and dirt.
Right.
But I mean, there's ways to address that. You could go back 5-6 feet on his property. I don't know if we're allowed, Peter. You might not be allowed to, I don't know. You go back 6 feet into his property, raise the grade up, and make a little swale, a little channel out of hard product asphalt. That will stop all the fines from running down his driveway. It'll have the same, without paving. And that will stop the fines from running down his driveway with that channel, to push the water forward.
Right.
Well, I think if he gets a contractor for that, then certainly we could afford our use of our engineer to talk to him about it, maybe we can work something out.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
But I mean, that's,
I mean, what if I intercepted it before it gets to my house? Because no matter what, it comes down my driveway and around
I
my
mean,
house.
what
to the
distance
wetlands.
is it from town to someone's driveway? Because we can't.
well, we have no right of ways.
So what
on that
distance
road.
do we
Oh, you
have?
don't?
Yes.
No, I think it might.
Oh, yeah,
I
you
think
do.
there
That's the
are.
third road, that's, you
I
got 5
have it
feet.
on my survey.
Right, you got
I
5
think
feet.
you could fix that in
25 feet
5
from the
feet.
center of the
I could
road.
fix it. I think you could fix it in 5 feet. His issue.
I think it's gotta come down through his drive, gotta go over that macadam, you saw it today. I'm not saying it can't be,
No, I
I'm
know.
not saying we can't work.
but we'd have to clarify. Whether it's
That's different.
Yeah.
in the right of way or not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a,
I'm sorry, Jim
Mr.
Jones.
Jones.
Yes.
I'm on 38 Old Church Lane. It just seems to me from the discussions we're having now, and the discussions we had in the last meeting, there are alternatives, and good alternatives, to paving that road. And that paving is not the answer to the drainage issues that we have. I feel for my neighbors who have drainage issues, and they need to be addressed. But paving the road, paving is not the answer to drainage issues. Addressing the drainage issues is.
The only thing I would point out is we're not going to get involved in a fix which is more expensive than maintaining the road at the moment. It is already a very expensive road to maintain. And we don't want to make it any more expensive. There are also 3 other groups, or there's one person and 2 other groups that are very keen on paving the road, and we would be remiss if we didn't consider them. There is a lady named Elise Morowitz, who has written a rather passionate email in favor of paving, and it isn't on, I think, on any specific drainage issue. It seems to be more on the safety of the road.
Right.
Secondly, there is the school, who is fed up with paying the bills for damage to vehicles, to their vehicles on that road.
I'm sorry, and what is the...
The dust gets all into
May I
the...
finish?
What? The dust gets into the engine. Okay, fine.
It's very
But
kind
I
of...
think we went through this, didn't we, on the phone?
Yes, but this would be helpful for all of us.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
What is the quantum of the damage to the schools?
I have no idea, but I have to trust the school that their buses are really suffering.
But we have 12 miles of unpaved road, am I right about that?
Yes.
Correct. So it's all, the damage to the buses is from, how many miles a week, Peter?
3/4.
3/4 of a mile, so it's from, so damage to the buses from our little piece.
Which means we should...
And by the way, I just want to mention, I know
All of
Terry
their-
the bus driver for 15 years, does anyone know Terry?
Yep.
15 years I know Terry.
I spoke to him.
I said to him, Terry, did you ever have a problem getting in and out of this road? Never. Never.
They weren't claiming, the school, to be fair to them, they were not talking at all about their drivers not being able to navigate the road.
Terry
They-
drove the same bus for
They
17
were
years.
talking about damage to their buses.
From what though? Dust?
From dust, mud.
Right, and I anyway would like to know what...
Finally,
Well, how much is that?
It seems to me, Mr. Parsons, that you've already made up your mind that you want to pave this road. I mean,
Right, but the board has...
But
we
the
haven't
board
decided
hasn't.
yet, So,
Yeah.
Can I just finish my sentence
Yeah,
here
go ahead.
also? I think I would like to complete this exercise and, understand what the cost of this minimum scenario is, or the hybrid scenario is, so we have all the inputs.
well, we really should take a decision tonight, because this is dragging
Right,
on.
but if we don't have all the information to do that from this afternoon's survey, if we're talking about what, additional drainage or different drainage from the initial proposal, right, Peter? Potentially off of the...
I mean, we still had...
Off of the survey from
Yeah.
today, so I think that would be helpful to know what that cost is. So
Right.
I'm in agreement with Dan that I don't think we're,
Yes,
aligned to have a vote tonight about it without having the rest of the information.
Okay, I was being
The one thing I came
pushed
into tonight
by our
was-
financial people to take a decision
All right, well,
tonight.
that's one factor.
Well,
Okay.
financially,
But,
it's 500,000 plus 150, the 650, 500 of which you're going to borrow. And so it's just like, what do you make do with what you have? It's always other people's money. I feel like you're always spending other people's money. My house is now worth $300,000 or $400,000 less than what I bought it for. And it's just this attitude of just the money, we don't have it, we'll borrow it,
Yeah, I disagree with that. I think we had a good discussion on this, and my personal feeling is that financially, although, to the dollar, we don't know, but it's kind of a wash,
I
because
didn't want to use that word.
it's kind of, it equals out, because, you have to consider future repaving and things like that, and amortize that. So the thing we want to do is come up with the solution which solves the worst problems that people are trying to deal with, and leaves it aesthetically as close to what people want as possible.
Yeah, aesthetically,
I think-
yeah.
it's the opposite for me. I think it's the indifferences and the rural flavor that makes things great. You know, and.
Sure, yeah, we're getting all that. And, you know, ideally, we do nothing and it looks like it is today. So the question is, there are some issues there, what's the bare minimum that we should do? And is that includes some degree of paving or not? We need to make that decision. Are the issues not great enough? Should we just say, that's it, we'll just leave it? It doesn't sound like it. It sounds like there's still some things. So where is that middle ground?
Right.
What we do know is that Chapel was a home run.
I spoke to some of the residents of Chapel Hill. As I canvassed my neighbors, I canvassed them also. They did not know that they could come back to the town board and say, we don't like it now that it's paved, because they didn't have a choice, it was paved. The traffic has been increased.
They didn't know they could complain to the board?
They're the only people in town who don't know that.
Before the last meeting.
After it was paved, what's their resolution? They can't come back and say, hey, you paved it and now the traffic has increased and the speed has increased. You know, what's the point of coming back? It's already done. And
If
now
it's an increase in traffic, that's the problem, then remember, the
And-
whole of that area of town and North Salem has seen a huge increase in traffic. And it's nothing to do with paving Chapel. It is to do with, because
Oh, really? You mean like a dirt cut through is not as, a paved cut through is not as enticing as a dirt cut through?
Before that project was done, we had all the traffic counts and everything, and it was really high for a dirt road. So, I think this is a great input. We should probably go back to that neighborhood and just survey them so that we can get feedback. It's good to, do something and then see whether it worked or not. So, welcome.
If I just point out, Chapel Hill Road is a totally different scenario than Old Church Lane. Chapel Hill Road is a thoroughfare to the school, for buses.
Correct.
And they cut through.
And for some of the Connecticut.
Some commuters.
Coming off the
different.
the main problem is stuff coming down from Connecticut.
Right, so that was
So
a
it's
different
different.
thing.
It's a
The
different
traffic
scenario.
counts were way higher.
That's an extreme
Chapel
grade on it.
Yes, and
That's
that has lots of
that-
negative
that-
turns.
That's a no-brainer. I mean, that's what I'm
Okay,
saying.
but all I'm saying is that a lot of these arguments were made when there was a proposal to pave Chapel.
It was a different
It's a
situation.
different.
Well, maybe, but it ended up.
Totally
Situation.
different situation.
It was
And there was
already
only
a cut through with a high
two
traffic.
All right, we're hearing the same people again and again. Yes, sir, you,
Yes.
and then
We've
out.
come here to talk about this. I've been living on Old Church Lane for 42 years. For 42 years, we had no problems. We had the occasional mud, we had all kind of little issues, but we were happy to live with it. Now we have the proposal to pave it, to make it easier for traffic. So we're going to repeat the experience we have on Kitchewan, where the trucks were going to Rings End to get stuck and have to be removed over days, have to be taken apart to get out. And we now want to replicate that on Old Church. We should be happy that there is a dirt road and there are no trucks that can go on there.
All right, sir. Maybe we should be happy,
For 42 years, I've been living there.
and I
I've been
will.
driving on that road. I've never got stuck. I had my car dirty at times, but that was a price I was happy to pay for being able to live there. To pave the road would dramatically change the character of that part of town.
All right, I will admit to.
Excuse me, sir.
Okay, I thought you
Just
finished.
to do this.
I said 1 minute.
Well,
No, that was.
Let him finish.
this is an application of the 1 minute
Yeah, let's
rule.
let him
If it fits
speak. We
you,
haven't
it's
heard
1
from
minute, and if it doesn't fit you, it's nothing.
Okay.
Very strange.
Go ahead.
Well, you keep on cutting me out.
Yeah, I should, because you're not going to
Let him finish. Yeah. Okay.
All right, there are 2 points I'd like to make. One, I'm biased. And I'm biased because of the number of phone calls I get complaining about the condition of the road. I get phone calls.
Please quantify.
What?
Please quantify. What does that mean?
I don't know, I don't keep a list
Maybe
of
you should.
who called, oh, come on.
Or is it
How many
is it
people-
residents,
That would be
residents
good
or?
governance. Maybe you're not
Well,
interested.
it doesn't matter whether they're residents or not.
No, I said governance. Maybe it's good governance. Maybe you're not concerned about it.
All right, I think that's.
We have so
We have
far.
the majority of the residents on the road here, okay? And we've known about the emails that have been sent to the town board.
Yes,
The majority of the residents on the road do not want this paved.
Okay.
But we continue to hear about your phone calls,
So you want
calls,
paved so you don't
and
get
one
any
letter
phone
from a
calls.
woman who's very
So you don't
upset.
get any more annoying phone calls. You want it to be paved.
Let's keep some order here. I think it's gonna be one at a
The
time.
next-
Hold on a second. Let's keep some order here, be one at a time. We kind of open this to a hearing, but I think if people have inputs, please make them, state your name. But if it's gonna be this kind of back and forth, like you don't wanna do best part, like that.
Right, there's another person we haven't heard from.
I'm Marjorie Samuels, I
Thanks.
live at number 4, Old Church Lane. And I would just like to know, what is this going to cost me? Anything?
yes.
Well,
It will cost you the interest and capital expense, but we believe that will be less than what you're currently paying, well, not you, the town is currently paying for maintaining the road as it is.
That's what you mean, right? I mean, your net cost to your taxes. That's what your,
I
that's what
just
your
want to
question
know
is?
that it's not going to cost me any more than what I am paying now.
And
That's true.
I think
That's
it's,
accurate, it would cost them
Over
extra.
30 years.
I think it's, you know, we should do the final numbers on it, but I think it's, you have either the, you know, the current investment to pave and then the sort of, you know, amortization of that over time, or you have the yearly cost to dump all this new material and grade the road. And personally, I think they're close enough that, you know, the decision should be based on what's the best technical solution that also, as much as possible, meets everybody's aesthetic requirements. I think that's,
Selfishly, I've lived there also for about 40 years, and I haven't had a problem with the dirt road. It's not an issue for me. But I am concerned, my husband has passed away, as Peter knows, and I am concerned that I may have to sell my house at some point down the road. And I'm very distressed to hear that the property values are going down in our area. And I just feel that by paving that road, it's going to erode the property value even more. So,
I've got no crystal ball, and I don't know.
But we can ask a realtor. We
Yeah,
certainly know plenty of them.
Yes, and you will get as many opinions as there are realtors, probably.
so, is there any more input that?
Hasn't been provided yet.
Yeah, I think it should be reasonably fresh.
Yes, my name is Alan Chang, I live at 67. I haven't heard what the reason is or why there's no consideration of doing a stepwise approach to addressing the drainage concerns on Old Church. Why it needs to be paving or nothing?
No, that's not true. Actually, we are looking at a drainage-only solution, potentially. We are.
And so whatever cost.
We discussed that. But we haven't, yeah.
I'm sorry, so my question would be, have we, and have you shared with the residents of Old Church what those costs would be and what those projects or what those steps would be? Maybe a stepwise approach would be more effective here, given that there's some strong feeling that paving isn't the way to go.
Right.
And
maybe that should be shared with the residents of Old Church.
All right, what I was hearing today is that if we went a drainage-only approach, that drainage was not like, those drainage improvements were likely to be short-lived.
Because
I think we have to see what we actually get back from the engineer. I think that's why that's premature.
The other thing, finally, is there are two fairly important groups.
I'm a data guy. I'd like to see.
Well, I'm not. I mean, we don't have data on this. Finally, you will never have good data until you've done it. then you will know you were either wrong or
Right,
right.
he's talking about data in
No,
terms of the
he
project.
wants to know the cost to
Plan.
do just
Yeah.
drainage versus.
Yeah.
All due respect, that's a ridiculous comment.
Okay, fine, it's
Because
ridiculous.
you're saying you cannot have any data about a project.
No, I'm not saying you can't have
That's
any.
what you said.
I didn't say that. I said you will not have finite data
Can we play back the tape?
until you've done
I'm
it.
not interested in hearing you two guys argue. I get your point, that we need to be quantifying things. One of the comments he made was that the drainage facilities are likely to have a low lifetime. That's to say that they'll be filled up with silt and they'll have to be redone and all that kind of stuff. That's all. Do we know?
Yeah, so we need to
But when
look at
you
what the
build-
options are too, so there's
costs
less
money.
maintenance, which does cost money.
There's maintenance and there's maintenance.
Well, we need
If
to
you
look at
build
that.
it in a way
Yes.
that's like fundamentally flawed and like, you know, the stuff is filling up with silt and you have to come back every year to empty it, then you've got an issue here. So we don't know exactly, you know, what that maintenance schedule might be if we went with the drainage only solution. Nobody, I don't think anybody can
Agreed, but
calculate
presumably
that.
that's less than $650,000 a year. Or $650,000.
Well, so the 600.
But we have to think about it over time. How many times are we gonna have to fix it? How much does it cost to maintain
Years would
it?
be less than $650,000.
So you're matching up not only that drainage work, but obviously the, you know, the yearly material and things like that, so, sure.
Finally, we do have a fire department and an ambulance. And both of those are the people who drive them are strongly in favor of paving. I think you would expect that, but that's where they stand.
I spoke to a captain that's presently on the Vista Fire Department, and I spoke to a former chief that's currently on the Vista Fire Department. And both of them said that the road as it is now, they don't have any issues with it. The way the road used to be, yes, that was a joke. But I said-
All right.
So on that count, it would be good to get something in writing from them,
That's what,
perhaps.
yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I suggested the other day, if
So
there was
let's do that.
something
I spoke to the
that
bus
effect.
driver who drove that route for 17 years with the same bus, and she said the maintenance of the road was her only issue of getting through. I have to tell you that the last 5 years, the bus drivers have been speeding up and down that road. I've called transportation and reported them several times. We are now, because of lower enrollment in our schools, we now have one bus in the morning, one big bus in the morning,
Okay.
and one short bus in the morning, and one in the afternoon, where it used to be 3 in the morning, doing the 3 runs for each elementary, middle school, and high school. It used to be, 6 times the same bus. The same bus did all 3 runs. And she never had a problem with her bus as far as dust and mud, and that's when the road was really bad. So
Thank you.
I've talked to a lot of people, just
right.
as you've talked to a lot.
Mr. Jones, you
Yeah,
had something?
I've got some short points. And one of them is that I feel that we had very little notice that this was being taken up.
Okay.
By the time we found out, the loans had already been applied for, the consultants had already been hired, paid.
But we haven't made a decision yet. That only happened, is happening in
If you
parallel?
allow me to finish, you'll see.
But I just want to explain to you, that's happening in parallel because there are timings on that loan.
If you allow me
So
to
it
finish, you'll see where
doesn't
I'm
mean we have a
going with this,
commitment.
okay?
Yeah.
I do not know, and being a resident of the road, I should know what alternatives, what were the questions asked to the consultants about how to handle this? Not just how the best way to pave it, but what are the alternatives? I should know that before the decision was made to pave the road. And I would respectfully ask the board, before another decision is made, that the people most impacted by this, which are the residents, be let in on the decision that it's not a mandate from above.
It is
I
only...
have a second point, could you let
Okay.
me finish? I've been
Yeah.
very respectful, and I would like a chance to voice my concerns. The second issue is these safety concerns that have been brought up. I've called the State Department of Transportation. They regulate everything on a school bus down to the size of the washers. If there is any safety issue, they would be here closing down the service to the road overnight. There have been no safety issues reported by the school system to the Department of Transportation, who is the state body mandated to save students' lives. If there was, my neighbors have small children. I would not think for a second of putting their lives in danger, and that's why we have a state organization to do that. In addition, that same Department of Transportation regulates the ambulances, because they carry, yes, the New York State Department of Transportation, as well as the Department of Health, mandate where those EMS ambulances can go and what the safe conditions are. There have been no safety complaints made to the State Department of Transportation. None. None rising to the level to where we all of a sudden have an emergency situation where we need to pave that road.
To be fair to both of those bodies, I never said, I hope, that the problem was safety. The problem is excessive wear and tear.
Well, my understanding is that by town code, and you tell me if I'm wrong, okay, and by contract, this bus company that has the contract to run the buses, okay, by contract, they need to be, they're aware that they have to be able to operate on dirt roads. So in their bid, they have to take that into control. Why all of a sudden we're concerned about the cost to them of maintaining their buses when that should be in the initial contract? And if it's in the town code that has to be part of the contract, why all of a sudden is this a big issue?
I don't think there is a contract. I think the school owns and runs the buses.
So I think where we were starting to go is to ask for a written feedback from those institutions.
Or do we just want to call it a day and put it to a vote?
No,
No, we're not ready to do that. We are not in agreement on that, Peter. We're not ready to do that. I mean, I want to see what the engineer had to say about today and what the cost would be.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you know, if we haven't got a resolution and we miss it this season, we miss it this season. So be it, right? So we're going to take our time and make sure we make as good a decision, and it's not going to make everybody happy. I guarantee you that. Whatever the final decision is, not everybody will be happy, but we'll do our best to navigate all the different factors.
Okay, let's move on.
If I may, as you proceed with this process, please consider sharing with the residents of Old Church Road.
We'll do that.
That was actually the next piece, because I think
happy.
communication is something that, as a board, we know we need to work on a little bit more, and I think that's certainly a well-taken point here, so thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you all for being here and participating in the process, because it's important for this feedback.
There's someone who hasn't spoken yet.
Could you also include Melody Lane in the communication?
Okay.
Oh,
for
right,
Old
because they
Church Lane?
technically are, right.
How many, as a matter of interest?
2 houses, right?
Two.
Okay,
Yeah.
fine, that was the question.
Yeah.
Still have to use Old Church Lane.
Okay.
Right.
Let's affect our.
One more.
Could I just ask you, there's a tree stump that is at the bottom of my property, and a cone on top of it, and it's been there for quite some time now, and I just wondered, does that have anything to do with this, or was that just a general cleanup?
No,
Do you know, Peter?
it has nothing to do with this, I know that.
They were doing tree work a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, was it maybe
This week, they're on your road
NICEAG or,
for 2 days now.
One more.
I do have a question.
Okay.
You had mentioned that this is a wash, paving the road versus just the annual maintenance. But at the annual maintenance, based on numbers that
Kind
you
of,
shared-
right, Peter? Because, so the wash between paving versus maintenance. When we spoke earlier, you said you didn't include the labor component.
Oh, no, I mean, if you put
So
the
if you-
labor.
So if
Right,
you put
and
in
the
labor,
time it
it's higher
takes,
than,
the amount of time you spend there.
So just to
And then
clarify.
if you put $15,000, $20,000, say $15,000 worth of product.
A year.
You're up to $45,000 with the labor of 50.
Yeah.
Because the equipment and everything, but we don't count that because labor's fixed. But if you weren't doing that, you'd be doing something else. So in essence, if you want to quantify it totally,
Right.
you have to break down the labor, the trucks, and the equipment. But we don't do that. We do the
So
product.
if you pay
So
this road, you could reduce your staff, right?
They already did that.
No, you could reduce your staff.
They already did that.
I'm just.
Yeah. No, there's a ton of work that isn't getting done, that needs to get done. Reducing staff is not in the cards.
If we take care of the drainage, that's down to the labor and the materials.
Yeah, we'll look at that, yeah.
It's all Joseph said, this is-
I know, it's all just.
Oh, go tell him too.
Okay, so we're done. And this is
To be
part.
continued.
I mean,
To be
Except for
continued.
today, on that one.
And I think we've quietly taken a decision to delay any decision till next year.
Could be.
Well,
We'll see.
Hmm?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
I don't know that we can give a time frame if we're waiting for information for the engineer to come back, for
Well,
us
I
to
said
review and
next
see what the
year.
next, for the borrowing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's, what I'm trying to say is that we're not doing it this year.
Right.
Can I politely make a suggestion that we hire consultants to give us a range of options for dealing with the drainage? Not whether to pave or not, but just how to deal with the drainage.
That's what they were out there today.
That's what we're doing today.
We have somebody that we consult with already.
We have a consultant there.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
We have an
they're all
engineer.
talking, and I'm against this because I do have some serious drainage issues, as we all know, right? And I have sandbags in front of my garage. I can't use my garage for what its intended purpose, which is to park cars. That's ridiculous, right? So to wait another year, I mean, the drainage problem has to be solved, right? And if borrowing this money and using some of it to fix this has to happen, if I have to spend money out of my pocket to divert it to the other side of my house so it gets to the wetlands faster, then so be it. But right now, I can't even spend money on my yard and my driveway to fix a problem because that's just gonna wash away. I got quotes for $30,000 to do something, and all that's gonna do is divert it from coming into my garage. Then it's gonna go to the side of my house and still around it. So, I mean, everybody else can wait a year, but I can't. Because everybody else
Yeah,
has their roads
so
approved.
we'll have a discussion based on the site visit today regarding potential drainage upgrades, but yes, in your case, there will need to be work done on your side as well. Yeah, and we'll look into that.
But your point is that you can't do that work unless.
Yeah, he
we're
can-
doing
I can't fix it on my own.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be work with the town.
It's a
in order to
coordinated
solve the
effort, like you
problem.
said in your email, it'll be a coordinated
Yeah.
effort, yeah.
All right, I'd like to propose approval of the voucher detail report. Do I have a second?
I second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
I'd like to propose that we adjourn into executive session to discuss...
Polling the board?
Come on board.
Oh, hell,
Polling.
sorry. It was on the back. I'd like to poll the board. Jen?
Oh, thank you. I wanted to share that I actually attended a OEM training down at County with Adam Oakes last week, and it was very informative. It was emergency management training for town officials, and I think will be very beneficial for anyone who's interested in participating the next go-around. It was really helpful to kind of understand where we could get resources in the event of an emergency. And I also just came across, actually Cross River Hamlet Association had shared, Ward Poundridge is accepting a call for high school student artists to exhibit in their Burst of Spring art show, which is opening Saturday, April 18th. So if there are any high school students, you can submit that, and I think we can share this graphic around. I'll give it to Janet, this way we can put it out with some of our announcements. I think the deadline's on there as well. Thank you. Yeah, no, I know you usually. And that's it, thank you.
Jane?
Well, I think that first I want to say that Mary Hafter and I are going to undertake the project of looking through the employee handbook with a fine-tooth comb and doing some updating. So I want to thank Mary for her agreement to guide me in that process. And I got my hard copy, so that's good. That's a good start. I want to mention 3 really big ways again to get involved in town that I think some really exciting projects we're working on. One is self-interestedly the bike loop that's happening in Town Park. The second is the master plan, which we've done a lot of talking about tonight, and I think Dan will talk more about the event, an event coming up on Thursday. And then the Walker Bike Pedestrian Committee, which will meet tomorrow at 8 p.m. at Cyrus Russell, is I think that they'll be really interested in talking about the master plan as well as that hamlet development of Cross River and Golden's Bridge and Vista. So that's a good opportunity. I wanted to talk a little bit just I wonder if we want to resurrect the tree ordinance? Is that the sustainability committee?
No, it's
it's mainly
It
Jan.
was the
It was
CAC.
CAC.
Jan's work.
It was the CAC, that's right.
Yeah.
Right. So I was looking through the
That's great.
master, so they looked at the master plan again in the 90s and never wound up coming up with a new comprehensive plan, but gave a lot of good ideas and suggestions for consideration. And one of them was a tree ordinance for 6 inches and under. And I just think it's interesting, we were looking at that, 20 years ago or so, and then we were talking about it a little bit, so I just don't want it to fade.
Jan and the CAC did a tremendous amount of work and
Right.
made a proposal to the board,
Right.
and it was just summarily shelved as being not the right timing for it or something like that, but I think
Let's
that
resurrect
work
it.
can be resurrected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In my memory, what has happened twice is there has been a problem with trees in town, which kind of curtails the discussion.
Okay, well, let's resurrect the discussion.
If you would like me to get it on the agenda at some point, I would be.
You're the obvious person to bring it forward, because you've done more work on this than anybody should ever have to do.
Thanks, Jan. I also just want to mention that there's a Parks and Recs Advisory Committee meeting Thursday night at 7:30.
Hey, for a second, can we hear what Jane has got to say?
Yeah, we're almost done. Hang in there, we're almost done.
What?
Thank you, Peter, my goodness. There's a Parks and Recs Advisory Committee meeting at 7:30 p.m. on Thursday night at Onitru Farm. And we had a new neighbor network get together this past weekend on Sunday, and it was really a wild success. I mean, it was about 15 to 20 people, but it was so lively and energetic, and one of the people I met there already reached out, wants to get involved in town, so it was great, and I just want to give kudos to Michael and Dana for another really great event. Janet was there, it was great, Janet, right? Yeah, that's it.
Tony?
Let's see, so we have a newly formed.
Was there champagne or just kidding?
There was.
Oh, wow.
There was a wine and cheese new neighbor network. It was adults only wine and cheese, although it was not, it was.
Worth moving out and moving back in again.
That's right.
The wine was, yeah, it totally is. So yes, there was in fact wine and cheese there, which is maybe what made it so lively.
Okay, back to
So back to Tony. So the only thing I have is we have our newly formed Veterans Advisory Committee, and one of the ideas that came out from that committee was to have a mail collection box so we can collect flags for proper retirement. So thanks to Fred Green, postmaster at Bedford Village Post Office, he got us a box. And John Lemke picked it up, and it's somewhere, and we're gonna
It's
have.
inside of the.
Is it?
Yeah, I think it's a maintenance shop.
Maintenance shop, okay, yeah, Joe has it. So the idea is for us to get scouts or someone that wants to volunteer to paint it, and then we'll place it somewhere. Yeah, that's all I have.
Dad?
A few things. One is Nancy Koschowski over at the Meadows reminds me that there's a great interest over there in trying to opt out of the DOT pesticide side of the road spraying thing, and they're particularly concerned with the way 35 curls around there. It just like slopes right down into their houses. And so she connected with the board, and they believe that they would be able to get their landscapers to do the, to weed whack all the way up to the edge, stay on this side of the guardrail so that there's any concerns the DOT might have about the vegetation would be mitigated, and they'd like to know what it would take to communicate and cut a deal with the DOT to avoid that section there.
I think that's a very good idea, that they weed whack it so it doesn't need the state to come along and do it.
Right.
At the same time, Senator Peter Harcum has sworn to me they will never do it, that the DOT will never do this again.
I thought
last
they
year.
only committed to giving us warning or something.
That's what they committed to me.
Okay.
Senator Pete Harcum was, I think, a little bit more important than me when he slammed the table at them.
So does that warning then include the ability
So
for
they're not gonna
us
spray anymore?
That's what I gathered from Peter. Is
Okay.
that a fair comment? Oh, you don't know?
That's my general understanding.
Okay, well, I think we
It's my
should
other hat,
sort of.
I still think we should do that to be safe, but
I still, yeah, a local ordinance is probably the best way to go.
No,
Like
you can't do it
Yorktown,
on state roads.
They wouldn't, even within the right of way over there on that side?
We've got
Yorktown
one,
has something similar.
we've got one on town roads,
Okay,
but not on state roads,
okay,
So it seems like.
because we don't control them.
fair enough.
So regardless, it sounds like we have certain understanding, but it's probably good to follow up and say, hey, we're coming into the season here, I just want to,
Reminder.
remind, and then we have the residents, and just clarify, are they not going to spray in town at all on
Right.
our roads, or are we just getting a warning so that we can, feedback, so no, don't do there, that's okay, but don't do there, or, how, just how it's going to operate.
Mhm.
But they would certainly want to make sure that that happens. Let's skip this one for a moment. We had the community solar event on Saturday. It was a nice turnout. We had like 25 people come, and we've already had something like 7 or 8 people sign up to save money on their bills and help add more renewable energy to the grid. So that was great. Jane just mentioned this Thursday we've scheduled an event. We're calling it a warm-up for the planning, for the municipal planning exercise. I'd like to make it sort of casual. In other words, the other things with Tiffany, everything can be kind of formal and structured, and we want people to just come. I have sort of curated some video clips to just kind of stimulate discussion about housing or this or that, but I'd like it to just be casual so we can kind of not have to jump right into something real formal, and maybe we can flesh out some people who are interested in participating as we go forward. So
What time is that at?
that'll be 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock at the Lewisboro Library.
On Thursday, yeah. Solar Thursday event. And then last, we continue to get volumes of information about the coronavirus stuff from, especially from Patrick Suzuki Morris, who's made quite a study of things and has a lot of suggestions in terms of preparation. A lot of it's pretty daunting, but he's pointed us to some resources which I think are pretty interesting. One of which was a document, it's like a 111-page document plus annexes about the community health center, how to establish one, and I guess this is to say in the event of where the health facilities are overtaxed and we need sort of ad hoc way to respond to additional load and need for care, that you've identified a facility and a plan for how to run that facility and supply it and things like that. This thing has not gone away. We're sort of hoping it was going away, and the recent news has still not been great. This particular document, as I say, it's very daunting. There's a lot of detail in it. But one of the first steps I think we could take is just to identify a potential site for one of these. And there's one of the annexes is a checklist for like criteria for that. And maybe we could kind of start looking at that and maybe engage the committee to at least be thinking about that. It'd be a way to sort of introduce the topic so that maybe we're not fully done, because the document talks about staffing and all types of different functions and everything that we're maybe not ready for, but we'd at least have started to think about it. So maybe continuing dialogue and maybe a little more engagement from the emergency committee possible on that. That's it for me.
There are, picking up on the virus, I know the county has already established and put food into a possible quarantine site. Second, Northern Westchester Hospital has already done drills on how to handle a sudden influx of over 100 people. all having some kind of symptoms or being worried that they've got symptoms. I'm normally against big, but in this case, there may be a real advantage in the fact that Northern Westchester Hospital is part of Northwell Health, which has got direct communications with the Center for Disease Control, because they're a huge organization with massive facilities at their disposal. Next, you know that we have got a census coming up in April. It will be essentially an online census. You will receive stuff in all ways, just about, which will encourage you to go online and complete the census online. Finally, if you don't respond the first 3 times, then they will actually start coming to your door and knocking.
Smart. Let you do it online first.
This is kind of important,
It's a good incentive.
because the amount of money coming into the county and the town and the school district all depend on the number of people who are caught by the census in the county, in the school district, and in the town. And the fewer people who come up and participate, the less money they will get, and the more money they will charge you in your taxes. It's pretty simple.
Yeah. And Cindy Rubino was talking about, on the New Neighbor Network, about they're going to do an event at the library to help people.
Yeah.
They're going to have a designated laptop, and they can help people get online and fill out the census if people need that service.
I think that's about it.
I actually have one more thing I forgot to mention. The cell tower in Cross River, Verizon has installed their antennas on the tower, and they should be operational this week. It's the latest I know.
Yeah, they said that
I
before.
drove through without
Yeah, they
leaving.
said that.
I've stopped promising.
And there'll be others after, AT&T and so forth.
I
so-
know, it doesn't matter though. I
That's
think
right.
that-
They promised that on Valentine's
It's
Day.
only the-
Mid-February.
Helen said
That's what I was
Valentine's
told.
Day is past. So a piece of my temper and bile went towards them.
Good.
In the hope that would encourage them. I'd like to propose, did we
The meeting.
do
Meeting,
claims?
next meeting.
Oh.
We did claims.
All right, in that case, the next meeting is on March 9th, 2020, at 7:30 at the Townhouse, 11 Main Street, South Salem. I'd like to propose that we adjourn into executive session to interview various people for committees.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.